The door chimed as Han Ji-wook stepped into the children's bookstore in Itaewon, his $1,000 shoes quiet against the rainbow carpet where 12 children sat cross-legged listening to a woman read. He was supposed to be ordering custom wedding favors, 407 leather-bound books for his guests. The president of Korea had confirmed attendance. The merger with Kang Industries depended on this marriage happening in 72 hours. But Ji-wook froze 3 steps inside because the woman reading to those children was his ex-wife, Amara Williams, the woman he'd divorced 5 years ago, the woman who'd vanished with $500,000 and an NDA that said she'd never contact him again. And sitting beside her, playing with alphabet blocks, was a 4-year-old girl with his eyes. Not similar eyes, his exact eyes. The same deep brown, the same almond shape, the same slight upturn at the outer corners that made the Han family recognizable anywhere in Korea. Ji-wook's mind did the math in 3 seconds. Divorced 5 years ago, child approximately 4 years old, which meant this little girl had been conceived when they were still married, which meant Amara had been pregnant when she disappeared, which meant everything his mother told him 5 years ago was a lie. The little girl looked up from her blocks and waved at him. Just waved, the way children wave at strangers, friendly, innocent, completely unaware that she'd just detonated her father's entire existence. Amara's head snapped up mid-sentence in The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Her voice caught. The book trembled in her hands. For 11 seconds, they just stared at each other across a carpet full of oblivious children talking about butterflies. Ji-wook mouthed 3 words. "Is she mine?" Amara nodded once, just once, and that single nod shattered 5 years of carefully constructed lies. If you're already enjoying this story and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me what you think happens next. And can I ask you a very simple question? Where in the world are you watching from? Drop it in the comments section. I love to see how these stories unite us all. Now, let's see how Ji-wook's perfect life completely falls apart.
K Afro Tales. The weak will become strong one day.
He stood there, frozen, while his phone buzzed with messages from his wedding planner. Floral arrangements needed approval. The ice sculpture design required sign-off. His fiancée, Kang In-ji, wanted to know if his mother had approved the seating chart yet. 407 guests, a multi-billion-dollar merger. The 3rd richest man under 40 in Korea was getting married in 3 days. Except now he couldn't remember why. Amara finished the story with a voice that shook only slightly. Parents arrived to collect their children. Small talk about next week's reading session. Goodbyes. The little girl, his daughter, waved to everyone because she was friendly like that. She waved at strangers in supermarkets, at old ladies on subways, at pigeons in parks. And then the store was empty. Just the 3 of them. 2 adults who'd once loved each other, and the child that love had created. "Zara," Amara said quietly, "go upstairs to our apartment, sweetheart. Mama needs to talk to this man for a minute." "Okay, Mama." The little girl, Zara, her name was Zara, skipped toward a door at the back of the store, already humming the Caterpillar song. She had no idea that downstairs her entire life was being negotiated. The moment the door closed, Ji-wook exploded. "I have a daughter, and you never told me." "I told you I was pregnant 5 years ago," Amara said, her voice deadly calm. "You chose to believe your mother instead of me. You disappeared. You filed for divorce while I was in Singapore on business. You vanished completely." "I was accused of corporate espionage, Ji-wook. Your mother had me followed by private investigators. Your company's legal team threatened me with deportation. The severance agreement I signed, the one that gave me $500,000, included a clause that I would never contact you again. So I didn't." Ji-wook felt the ground shift beneath him. "What severance agreement? I never authorized any—" "You really don't know?" Amara laughed, bitter and broken. "God, Ji-wook, your mother runs your life. She always has. When I told you I was pregnant, you went to her first, and she made me disappear."
Amara pulled out her phone, hands shaking. She showed him documents she'd kept for 4 years. A severance agreement signed by his mother, not him. Corporate espionage charges that evaporated the moment she signed.
Photographs from private investigators following her to coffee shops, bookstores, her doctor's appointments, lawyer letters threatening prosecution, deportation warnings, all orchestrated by Madame Han Soo-jin. And at the bottom of the last document, a clause in small print that made Ji-wook's blood run cold. The party agrees to never contact Han Ji-wook or any member of the Han family regarding claims of paternity, pregnancy, or any matter related to the marriage, under penalty of criminal prosecution and immediate deportation. Ji-wook read the same sentence 3 times. The date on the document, 5 years ago. 2 weeks after Amara had told him she was pregnant. 1 week before she'd vanished from his life. His mother had done this, had fabricated evidence, had threatened the woman carrying his child, had paid her to disappear, had lied to his face for 5 years. And he, God help him, he'd believed every word. He'd let Amara go without a fight. "Your wedding is in 3 days," Amara said, her voice steady now, cold. 407 guests. I read about it in the news. The merger with Kang Industries. Your mother picked Eunji because her father owns the semiconductor patents you need. So congratulations, Ji-wook. I hope she knows what she's getting into. I hope she's stronger than I was. You think I can just walk away? Ji-wook's voice cracked. After finding out I have a daughter? You think I can marry someone else and pretend this didn't happen? You did it once already. That sentence hung in the air like smoke. True, devastating, unanswerable. I need to see her again. Please, I need to know her. She doesn't know you're her father. She thinks you're just some man who walked into our bookstore. When can I tell her? When you prove you're staying. Amara's eyes were hard. When you prove you won't choose your mother over her the way you chose your mother over me. How long? As long as it takes.
Ji-wook pulled out his phone. His hands were shaking as he scrolled through his contacts, found his wedding planner's number, and made a call that would cost him everything. "Cancel it," he said. "Cancel the entire wedding. Yes, I'm serious. I don't care about the deposits. I don't care about the guests. Cancel everything." He hung up, made another call. "Eunji, it's Ji-wook. I can't marry you. I'm sorry. The merger is off. I'll compensate your family for any losses. I'm sorry." He hung up before she could respond, made a third call. "Mother, I know what you did to Amara. I know about the severance agreement, the fabricated espionage charges, the threats. I found my daughter today. The wedding is canceled. Don't contact me again." He ended the call, blocked his mother's number, and looked at Amara, who was staring at him like she'd seen a ghost. "What did you just do?" she whispered. "I chose my daughter. I should have chosen you 5 years ago. I'm choosing her now." Amara's eyes filled with tears. "Do you have any idea what your mother will do to you?" "I don't care." "You should care. She'll destroy you." "Then she destroys me. But I'm not losing another 5 years with my daughter. Can I see Zara tomorrow, please?" Amara looked at him for a long moment, seeing something she hadn't seen 5 years ago. Certainty, commitment, or maybe just desperation. She couldn't tell yet. "Children's Museum," she finally said. 10 a.m. Don't be late. By Sunday morning, the news had exploded across every media outlet in Korea. Han-Star CEO cancels wedding 48 hours before ceremony. Multi-billion-dollar merger collapses. Han family crisis. What happened? Ji-wook's phone had 73 missed calls from his mother, text messages from board members, panicked emails from his PR team. The president of Korea's office had requested an explanation. Ji-wook ignored all of it. Instead, he stood outside the Seoul Children's Museum at 9:40 a.m., 20 minutes early, wearing jeans and a sweater, casual clothes he hadn't worn in 5 years. He looked like a man going to an execution. He felt like a man about to meet God.
Amara arrived with Zara at exactly 10 a.m. The little girl wore a yellow dress with dinosaurs on it. She was holding her mother's hand and chattering about the T-Rex exhibit, completely unaware that her entire life was about to change. "Zara,
Amara said gently, kneeling down to her daughter's level. "This is Mr. Han. He wanted to see the museum with us today." Zara peeked out from behind her mother, suddenly shy. "Hi." Ji-wook knelt down too, eye level with his daughter, the daughter who didn't know he was her father, not yet. "Hi, Zara. Your mom tells me you're an expert on dinosaurs. I don't know anything about dinosaurs. Can you teach me?" Zara's shyness evaporated instantly because the one thing 4-year-olds love more than dinosaurs is teaching adults about dinosaurs. "You don't know about dinosaurs?" She looked scandalized. "Not even a little." "Okay." She grabbed his hand without hesitation because that's what children do. They trust easily, forgive easily, love easily. All the things adults forget how to do. "Come on, I'll show you everything." For the next 3 hours, Han Ji-wook, former CEO, former heir to billions, former perfect son, learned about dinosaurs. Zara explained that Triceratops was a herbivore, which meant it only ate plants, not meat. She made him look at every single dinosaur skeleton, reciting facts she'd memorized from picture books. She held his hand when they walked between exhibits. She asked if he had any kids of his own. "Would you like it if I did?" "Yeah, then they could play with me." She said it so simply, so innocently, not knowing she was breaking her father's heart with every word. They ate lunch in the museum cafeteria, chicken nuggets and French fries. Zara told him very seriously that sometimes people could be happy and sad at the same time, and that was okay. She said her teacher had taught her that. Ji-wook wondered if his daughter somehow knew, in the way children sometimes know things, that the man sitting across from her was feeling exactly that, happy and sad at the same time. By the afternoon, they'd moved to the playground near Namsan Tower. While Zara played on the slides with other children, Ji-wook and Amara sat on a bench, adults alone for the first time all day, the conversation they'd been avoiding. "She's perfect," Ji-wook said quietly. "She is. I missed 4 years." "Yes, you did."
Amara wasn't going to make this easy. She shouldn't have to. "I'm sorry," Ji-wook said. "I know it's not enough." "You chose your mother over your pregnant wife," Amara interrupted. "You didn't even question the evidence against me, after everything we'd been through together. That's not something sorry fixes, Ji-wook." He'd spent 5 years telling himself he'd made the right choice, that the evidence was real, that Amara had betrayed him. Now, sitting on this playground bench, watching his daughter swing higher and higher, he faced the truth. He'd been a coward. He'd taken the easy path, and it had cost him everything that mattered. "I'm asking for a chance. Not to fix the past, I can't, but to be her father, really be her father, to show up every single day, to prove I'm not going anywhere this time." "What happens when your mother pressures you again?" Amara asked. "When it costs you more than a wedding, when she threatens to take away everything you have left?" "Then it costs me everything, and I'll pay it. I already am." Amara looked at him for a long moment. "She doesn't know you're her father yet." "When can I tell her?" "When you prove you're staying. Not just this week, not just this month, but really staying." "How long?" "As long as it takes." Ji-wook nodded. He'd wait. Days, weeks, months, whatever it took. Monday morning brought the reckoning he'd been expecting. Emergency board meeting at Hanstar Technologies headquarters, 43rd floor, glass-walled conference room with views of the Han River. Madam Han Soo-jin sat at the head of the table like a queen presiding over an execution. 12 board members. 8 owed their positions to his mother. 3 were extended family. 1 was neutral. If it came to a vote, Ji-wook had already lost. "My son has experienced a mental breakdown. The stress of leadership combined with wedding preparations has clearly affected his judgment. I move that we invoke the Family Trust Clause and remove him as CEO while he seeks professional mental health treatment."
The room went silent. What his mother was proposing wasn't just removing him from his position, it was declaring him mentally unfit. It was destroying his reputation. It was war. "I'm not having a breakdown," Ji-wook said calmly. "I'm making a choice."
You canceled a wedding that affects thousands of employees and destroyed a multi-billion-dollar merger because you claim to have discovered a child from a woman you divorced 5 years ago? That is, by definition, erratic behavior. Do you have proof of paternity? One board member asked. I will, but I don't need proof. I know. Wrong answer. In a boardroom, you need evidence, documentation, legal verification. Not intuition, not certainty in your gut, not the recognition you see when you look into a child's eyes. With respect, CEO Han, another board member said carefully, you've created a significant PR crisis, destroyed a strategic merger, and made decisions affecting thousands of employees based on, what, a feeling? An assumption? Ji-wook looked around the table, at men he'd worked with for 10 years, at his mother sitting like ice at the head, at the company his grandfather had built from nothing, and he realized something. He'd already lost this battle. The moment he'd chosen Zara, he lost this. But losing didn't mean surrendering. I found my daughter, he said quietly. That's not erratic. That's reality. And if this board believes being a father is incompatible with being CEO, then maybe I don't want to be your CEO anymore. You don't mean that, his mother said, but there was uncertainty in her voice now. Actually, I do. Ji-wook stood. I resign. Effective immediately. He walked out of his own boardroom. Behind him, his mother called for a vote anyway. 8 hands raised in favor of removal, 4 against, 1 abstention. Not that it mattered anymore. Han Ji-wook was no longer CEO of Han Star Technologies. And the strange thing was, walking down that empty hallway, loosening his tie for the last time, he felt relieved. If you're wondering whether Ji-wook's decision was worth it, keep watching, because what happens next will either restore your faith in family or break your heart. Drop a like if you think he made the right choice.
What followed was systematic destruction. Madam Han Soo-jin didn't just remove her son from the company, she removed him from everything. The CEO position? Gone. The luxury apartment in Gangnam? He had 72 hours to vacate. The company car, the expense accounts, the corporate credit cards, all terminated. His access to the family trust, money his grandfather had left him, frozen pending mental health evaluation. His shares in Hanstar Technologies remained his technically, but voting rights were suspended. His mother stopped speaking to him entirely. She released a statement to the press, "My son is unwell. We hope he seeks the help he needs." Seoul society, which had courted Ji-wook for years, turned its back overnight. Invitations disappeared, phone calls went unreturned, friends he'd known since childhood suddenly couldn't meet for lunch. The president's office released a statement expressing concern about his erratic behavior. In 72 hours, Han Ji-wook lost everything his mother had spent 30 years building for him. He moved to a studio apartment in Hongdae, student neighborhood, small, affordable. The first place he'd paid for with his own money in 15 years. That night, sitting on the floor of his empty apartment, surrounded by boxes, he texted Amara, "I lost the company, lost everything, but I'm still here. Can I see Zara tomorrow?" Amara read the text, read the news articles showing her ex-husband's spectacular fall from grace, looked at her daughter sleeping peacefully, unaware that her father had just sacrificed everything for the chance to know her, and she typed back, "Yes, and Ji-wook, I'm sorry about the company." Ji-wook stared at her message for a long moment, then typed 3 words, "I'm not," and he meant it.
Here's what Amara was watching for over the next 2 weeks. Would he show up? Not just once, not just when it was exciting or new, but every single day. In the rain, when he was tired, when he was dealing with lawsuits and board meetings and his mother's lawyers, would he still show up? Day 1. Ji-wook arrived at the bookstore at 3 p.m. to help Amara close up. He was early. Day 2. Saturday story time. He read The Gruffalo to 12 kids, stumbled over the English accent. The kids giggled. He kept going.
Day 3. Aquarium with Zara. She made him look at jellyfish for 45 minutes straight. He didn't complain once. Day 4. Zara was sick with a cold. Ji-wook showed up anyway, brought soup he'd made himself. It wasn't very good. Zara ate it anyway because she was polite like that. Days 5 through 14, he showed up every single day, rain or shine, no matter what else was happening in his imploding life, and a lot was happening. Lawsuits from Kang Industries, media harassment outside his apartment, his mother's lawyers threatening further action if he continued harassing his alleged daughter. Ji-wook handled it all, and still showed up at 3 p.m. every day. Zara started calling him Uncle Ji-wook, started saving her drawings to show him, started asking, "Is Uncle coming today?" every morning at breakfast. And Amara started to believe, started to see the man she'd fallen in love with 6 years ago, the man his mother had buried under expectations and control and fear. On day 15, after Zara was asleep upstairs, Amara poured 2 glasses of wine. She and Ji-wook sat in a bookstore after closing. First time they'd been alone in 2 weeks. "You're good with her," Amara said quietly. "I want to be her father, officially. I want her to know. She doesn't know yet." "When?" Amara looked at him, really looked, saw the exhaustion, the determination, the man who'd lost everything and kept showing up anyway. "Tomorrow. We'll tell her tomorrow." Wednesday morning, the bookstore apartment. Zara eating cereal with way too much sugar. Amara pretending not to notice. And the conversation that would change everything. "Zara, sweetheart," Amara said carefully, "Mama needs to tell you something important about Uncle Ji-wook." Zara looked up, suddenly worried. "Am I in trouble?" "No, baby. It's about Uncle Ji-wook. He's not just Mama's friend. He's—" Amara took a breath. "He's your dad." Zara stopped mid-chew, processed this information with the seriousness of someone solving quantum physics, which to a 4-year-old this basically was. "My dad?" "Yes. Remember how you asked why some kids have dads and you don't? Well, your dad didn't know where we were, but he found us, and he wants to be your dad, if you want him to be."
4 seconds of complete silence. Then, "Uncle Ji-wook is my dad?" "Yes." "Why didn't he know where we were?" The question Amara had been dreading. How do you explain adult complications to a 4-year-old? "It's complicated, baby, but he knows now, and he wants to be here for you. Always." "Does he love me?" Amara's eyes filled with tears. "So much, Zara, so much." "Can I call him Dad?" "If you want to." Zara thought about this for approximately 8 seconds. Then, with the decisiveness of someone choosing ice cream flavors, "Okay, but can I still call him Uncle Ji-wook sometimes? I like that name." Amara laughed through her tears. "You can call him whatever you want." The doorbell rang. Ji-wook, right on time. 9 a.m., exactly like he'd promised. Zara jumped up, ran to the door, opened it, and said 2 words that would break and heal Ji-wook simultaneously. "Hi, Dad." Ji-wook froze, looked at Amara standing in the kitchen doorway with tears streaming down her face, looked back at Zara, and for the first time in 15 days, he touched his daughter knowing she was his daughter, and she knew it too. He knelt down. Zara hugged him without hesitation, and Ji-wook cried. Right there in the doorway. Didn't try to hide it, just held his daughter and cried. "Mama said you're my dad now," Zara said, pulling back to look at his face. "Is that okay?" "That's more than okay," Ji-wook managed, voice breaking. "That's perfect." "Good. Can we go to the park? I want to show you my new swing trick." And just like that, Zara accepted her father, because children don't hold grudges. They don't overthink. They don't demand explanations for years lost. They just love, if you let them. 3 months later, Zara's 5th birthday party. The bookstore decorated with streamers and balloons shaped like dinosaurs. 12 kids from preschool running wild. A cake that Ji-wook had baked himself. Lopsided, frosting uneven, but made with so much love it didn't matter. And a little girl in a princess dress who ruled her party like the queen she absolutely was.
Ji-wook and Amara stood together, watching the chaos. Not touching, not a couple, but something. Something new that neither of them could quite name yet. "You're really not going back to the company?" Amara asked. "No, I'm starting something new, smaller, mine. Educational technology for kids. Actually using my Stanford degree for something that matters. And I'm actually happy, Amara. For the first time in years, I'm happy." "Your mother still won't speak to you?" "No. Maybe she never will. But I have a daughter who calls me dad. I have this. He gestured at the chaotic party, the children laughing, Zara bossing everyone around about cake-cutting procedures. It's enough. Enough. Amara tested the word. That's not something you would have said 3 months ago. 3 months ago, I didn't know what enough meant. We're not back together, Amara said, but her voice was softer now. I know. This doesn't mean I've forgiven you for 5 years ago. I know that too. But you're a good father. Zara loves you, and that matters more than anything. And you? Jiwook asked carefully. Do you think there's ever a chance that we... Ask me again in a year, Amara interrupted. After you've been here for every birthday, every holiday, every hard day, every normal day, then ask me. I'll ask you in a year. A year. 365 more days of proving himself. Jiwook smiled. He could do that. He would do that. Dad, Mama, come sing, Zara shouted across the room. It's cake time. They walked over together, not holding hands, not a couple, but a family. And sometimes that's enough. That's more than enough. Before we see how this story truly ends, hit that subscribe button if stories like this move you, because what happens next proves that the best endings aren't always perfect. They're just real. Everyone gathered around the cake shaped like a triceratops. 12 children, their parents, Amara's friends from the neighborhood, Jiwook. A makeshift family built from loss and forgiveness and the daily choice to keep showing up.
They sang happy birthday. 12 children off-key, adults pretending they could sing. Zara closed her eyes to make a wish, her face glowing in the candlelight of 5 candles shaped like dinosaurs. What did she wish for? She never told. But Jiwook had a guess, because he'd made the same wish. Not for the past to be different, not for lost time to return, but for what they had right now to last. For tomorrow to come, for the chance to keep building this imperfect, beautiful thing they were creating together. Zara blew out her candles. Everyone cheered. Amara caught Jiwook's eye across the table. He smiled. She smiled back, just a little, but it was something. It was a beginning. Maybe in a year she'd be ready. Maybe in a year he'd have proved himself worthy of a second chance. Maybe in a year they'd be a family in the way they used to be. Or maybe in a completely new way, a better way, a way built on truth instead of perfection. But today wasn't about maybes or futures or second chances. Today was about Zara, about a little girl who had both her parents, about a father who'd lost everything to find the only thing that truly mattered, about a woman who'd built a life alone and was learning, slowly, carefully, to let someone in again. Jiwook picked up Zara and spun her around. Her laughter filled the bookstore. Amara watched with a smile that reached her eyes for the first time in 5 years. And for just a moment, everything was exactly as it should be. There's a Korean proverb that says even if you're gonna skip breakfast, never skip the road. It means even if you fail at small things, never give up on your journey. Han Ji-wook had failed at a lot of small things, had failed at being a husband, had failed at being the son his mother wanted, had failed at recognizing what mattered until it was almost too late. But he wasn't going to fail at this, at being Zara's father, at showing up, at choosing love over expectation, at walking the road that mattered most.
3 months ago, Ji-wook was the 3rd richest man under 40 in Korea, heir to a technology empire, engaged to the daughter of his biggest competitor, living in a penthouse apartment with views of the Han River. Today, he lived in a studio apartment in Hongdae. He was starting a small educational technology company that might fail. He had no relationship with his mother. His former friends didn't return his calls. The media still called him unstable. But today, he was Zara's dad. He was the man who showed up at 3 p.m. every day. He was the man who made terrible soup and worse cakes, but made them with love. He was the man who knew every dinosaur fact a 4-year-old could recite. He was the man who'd lost everything and found that what remained was worth more than everything combined. And for the first time in 38 years, Han Ji-wook was exactly who he wanted to be. 1 year later, on Zara's 6th birthday, Ji-wook asked Amara again. They were alone in the bookstore after the party, after the guests had left, after Zara had fallen asleep upstairs, exhausted from too much cake and celebration. "You said to ask you in a year," Ji-wook said quietly. "It's been a year. I've been here for every birthday, every holiday, every normal Tuesday, every hard day.
I'm still here, Amara. I'm not going anywhere, ever. So I'm asking, is there a chance for us? Amara looked at him for a long moment, at the man who'd shown up every single day for 365 days, who'd chosen their daughter over everything, who'd rebuilt his entire life around being the father Zara deserved. Yes, she said simply, there's a chance.
And not because he'd earned forgiveness, not because time had erased the hurt, but because he'd earned something harder to build and easier to break. He'd earned trust. And trust, it turns out, is harder to build than empires, more valuable than wealth, more lasting than perfection. They didn't kiss, they didn't rush into anything, they just sat together in the quiet bookstore. Two people who'd loved and lost and were learning, slowly, carefully, to love again. Not the way they had before, but in a new way, a better way. A way built on truth and choice and the daily decision to keep showing up. Upstairs, Zara slept peacefully, dreaming of dinosaurs and birthday parties, completely unaware that downstairs, her parents were writing a new ending. Not a perfect ending, not a fairy tale ending, but a real ending, the kind that matters most. This story is dedicated to fathers who showed up late but showed up anyway. To mothers who built families alone and found the strength to let someone in again. And to children who forgive more easily than we deserve and love more purely than we remember how to. Because sometimes the best thing you can lose is everything. And sometimes the only thing worth keeping is the thing you almost threw away. And sometimes, just sometimes, showing up is enough.
K Afro Tales. The weak will become strong one day.